My dad is Ric Flair in the wrestling world. He was like one of the greatest of all time because of the pressure of being Ric's kid, being the 14-time women's champion, always in the title picture. It was exhausting.
What was it about wrestling that clicked for you?
I had no charisma, no acting, but what I was good at was sports.
What's the best piece of advice that your dad gave to you when you were getting into this world?
Oh, just know who you are. The minute your music hits and you walk out, if you don't believe in yourself, the fans are gonna eat you up. I never in a million years would have pictured myself here.
Ashley Elizabeth Flair, welcome to Post Run High.
Hi, thank you. I'm a little sweaty from my run.
I'm sweaty too. So we just ran a mile through Dumbo. We have a lot to unpack here. Before we started talking, I was like, we need to unpack WWE and all the things that go
Wrestling
into
101.
Yeah, we need a little
Here
Wrestling 101. But first, let's start here because publicly, you go by both Ashley and Charlotte, but your stage name is Charlotte Flair.
Stage name, Charlotte Flair, or the Queen.
And you grew up in North Carolina.
Yes.
So that's where we're getting the Charlotte from. Were there any other names in the running before you chose Charlotte?
I pitched a few names. I pitched Elizabeth Reed. I loved Miss Elizabeth. And then my little brother's name was Reed. But they were like, no, your dad's from Charlotte. We'll name you Charlotte. Because my dad is Ric Flair in the wrestling world. He was like one of the greatest of all time. So it was Ric Flair from Charlotte, North Carolina. So when I started, it was like, oh, Charlotte. I'll name her Charlotte.
And that was
the joke's on them.
Yeah. And what is the importance within the world of wrestling and WWE of having a stage name? Like why go by Charlotte and not Ashley? Because I love the name.
No,
Ashley
I mean,
too.
I could have gone by Ashley Flair, to be honest. It's just at that time, I don't think it was as common. And I think probably being Ric's kid, it was like, oh, we're going to give her like a stage name, like not be Ashley Flair. Because when I first started, I wasn't Charlotte Flair. I was just Charlotte. They didn't attach my last name till like 4 or 5 years later, or 5 years later. I did not become Charlotte Flair until like I grew into it.
Mm-hmm. Your dad was like, don't give her that last name until
No, my dad had nothing to do with it. It was just like, I don't want to say burden, but it was like a lot of pressure being his kid. And then could I handle that pressure? And then, coming, like it's one thing, people kind of knowing that you're his kid, but then like, oh, it's Charlotte Flair. Like, yeah, that's his kid. So a couple years after I started, that's when I started to come out as Charlotte Flair.
It's pretty wild, your life and growing up with Ric as your dad and growing up in that kind of world of
But it really
fandom.
wasn't. I think everyone thinks it was like, I mean, he had like bleached blonde hair and wore robes and went woo, but like I really wasn't, like I went to shows with friends or with teammates, but like I really wasn't around the wrestling world, or I wasn't really exposed like to really much anything, like played sports, was very much a homebody. So like, I think people think my life was like super extravagant or wild growing up, but it was very like, very normal. Other than like, my dad's a professional wrestler. When everyone at school is like, what's your dad do? Oh, he's a doctor, he's a lawyer. My dad's a wrestler. Like that was like the only difference.
Talk to us then a little bit more, like paint the picture of your childhood. Like what was Ashley like growing up? Where exactly did you grow up?
I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. I took a jazz, tap, and ballet class, I think from like 3rd grade to middle school, and gymnastics. Gymnastics where I spent like 24 hours a week competitively until middle school. My little brother and I were inseparable. I always remember every summer driving in my grandmommy's car in the back seat, making a tent to Panama City because my grandmother had a beach house on Mexico Beach. We went to the same school together from TK until high school. Reed transferred first to public school, and then I transferred after him. He transferred for wrestling. I transferred for volleyball. Grew up with the same kids, grew up in the same house. It was very like normal. Yeah. We went to my dad's shows when we could. Went to Disney every year when WCW had a Disney show. Yeah. After I graduated high school and like things kind of started to fall apart when my dad and my mom separated, but I had that like great childhood.
Yeah, it sounds like a quintessential,
Yes.
like North Carolina.
But there were
childhood.
like very much things that were going on. I just don't think I was as aware of them until I was older, and I was like, oh yeah, that probably wasn't normal or right, or oh, my mom went through this or my dad went through this. But like for the most part, I was so involved in gymnastics. I mean, I really was training competitively. Like you had to hit a certain amount of numbers or hours a week, probably 4th grade until middle school, which was a very, impressionable years. So I spent a lot of time with my gymnastics team and my gymnastics coach. So I just wasn't aware of like probably things, and that's probably good. Until like college, I was like, oh yeah, that was not right.
Yeah, what was going on that wasn't right? Like,
no, like my dad's lifestyle, being on the road so much, and like my mom struggling with that.
Yeah, because what is that like? Like, how often was your dad home? Like, what is the schedule?
I mean,
kind
he
of
was
like?
more home for Reed and I than he was home for my older brother and sister, my half brother and my half sister.
How much older are they?
My sister's 50. My older brother, I think, is 45. I'm 39. No, so my older brother's 7 years older than me. So yeah, late 40s. My sister's 50. And my dad was home a lot more for me, but my dad just lived a very fast-paced life, and I think that was hard on my mom. Probably more like I just wasn't aware growing up, and my dad was a great dad. My mom was a great mom. But it definitely took a toll on my mom, and like things that would come out in the news or things that happened in wrestling. Like I just wasn't aware. Like I kind of remember flashbacks, but it's probably better that I wasn't aware.
Definitely. And I could imagine now that you are living, that similar fast-paced life to what your dad lived when you were growing up. Like,
and what I mean by fast-paced is that we're always on the road.
Right.
Just like
we
traveling circus.
Right. Literally traveling circus. We talked about this before we started
52
filming.
weeks a year.
52 weeks a year, no breaks. Like there aren't many professional sports out there like that don't have
because you get an off season.
So what is it like having to be always on? And what does like a week in the life look like for you?
I have my routine. I have my trainer now because I tore my knee. I have rehab as well. So I have the same time with my trainer every week, rehab every week. Wrestling practice that I still do, just because we went from having a lot more live shows that aren't televised to less live shows, which gives you a little, more of a life. I do miss the live shows, and we do have them sometimes. And that's what I do in between our shows. So I always fly out Thursday. I'll fly to whatever city we're in, work this TV Friday, and then fly home Saturday, unless we have shows or unless we're overseas, and unless I'm on Monday Night Raw, which you could be, or unless you have a big PLE, which is our pay-per-views, like we just had at MetLife Stadium for SummerSlam, where I won the tag titles with Alexa this past Saturday. It just really varies week to week. I almost like don't even feel like I work. I mean, I literally perform for a living to audiences of all ages. Obviously, the kids are the best part, but the fans are the heartbeat. And then traveling the world, getting to see them, and whether it's doing PR, signings, now being on Netflix, we have opportunities to kind of show the person behind the character, and we do documentary style interviews but when I feel most alive is when that bell rings and I'm performing for whether it's MetLife Stadium or Barclays tonight. It's the best part of what we do. Like I'm like very grateful and blessed. Like I can't wake up and be like, oh, I have to go to work today.
Yeah, and it's, you're doing a job that you're made for and like meant to be doing. And we talked about this a little bit on the run, but it's like you never knew you were going to get into wrestling in WWE, right? Like imagine telling your collegiate volleyball self that you were going to go on and follow in your dad's footsteps.
No, absolutely.
Right?
No, I was scared of my own shadow.
Right.
Absolutely not.
So like, let's kind of explain to us, like, how did it all come to be? Like, how do you go from college volleyball player for a couple of years to then getting a PR degree, right?
Yeah.
And then ending up
oh my God, that
WWE
I don't know.
superstar.
Okay, so
that's coming for Ric's title. Come on.
Yeah, that's coming from my dad's record. I got a volleyball scholarship. I went and played freshman year, halfway through sophomore year. And then when I talk about struggles, when my mom and dad separated and my dad left my mom, my brother went to boarding school to Blair and I went to college at the same time. And I just really struggled. And I ended up quitting my scholarship for no reason and moving to Chapel Hill, finished at NC State, got a degree. And then when I moved back to Charlotte afterwards, I just was like completely clueless. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do in life. Like I loved communications, but like, I don't know what I was going to do. Like, what am I going to be, Samantha on Sex and the City?
Oh
like a big PR job. And
don't get me started on Sex and the City.
I can't believe they canceled
I know.
I was so devastated. Okay. At that time though, after college, my little brother was trying to get into WWE, but he was struggling a really bad drug addiction. So when I went to college and he transferred into Blair for amateur wrestling, but it was a boarding school, he was just exposed to a faster pace than he was in Charlotte. And then he already had started to do drugs. So that just continued to get worse and worse. So we were both in Charlotte at the same time. And my parents were trying to get him into WWE because he wanted to be just like my dad. Like Reed's dream from a little boy was like, I'm going to be the next greatest thing. I'm going to be Ric Flair. Like he idolized my dad and they were best friends. So when I graduated and moved back to Charlotte, my dad used to own Gold's Gyms in North Carolina growing up, but they had all closed. So I went to one of the trainers that worked at one of the Golds, and he had opened a private training studio in this area called Ballantyne. So I remembered him. I showed up at his studio and I was like, hey, I just took my ACE training test and I passed and I'm looking for a job. And he was like, oh, absolutely. Like young college girl, blonde, like, come on.
Yeah. He's like, we're going to get so many more gym membership signups.
He's like, let's go. But I was still, And like I had trainers my whole life, but I wouldn't have hired myself. Like now, like I was great and very like, let's go. But like,
I would have trusted you, honestly. Knowing that Rick was
like more of a life coach.
Yeah.
Hey. No, but like the training that I do now is so much more specific. I was just very basic, like fundamental training. But I fell in love with my clients. And at the same time, Reed was living with me and I had gotten him a job at the other studio there was two studios, one in Ballantyne, one in South Park. And I got Reed a job at the other one. He was also living with me off and on, but he had failed multiple WWE drug tests. So I think about 2 or 3 years after college, the Four Horsemen Hall of Fame induction, which was a group that my dad was in the 80s and 90s. I don't know I don't know the dates, but just a famous group were being inducted into the Hall of Fame in April 2012. And I was, even though training, loved my clients, making like what I thought like, oh my God, I'm making money. Like I had bought my first car, which was a Honda Fit and all these different things. I was still in a very lost, not good place. And obviously Reed wasn't either. But Reed and I went with my dad and we were at dinner with one of the producers after the Hall of Fame induction in Miami. And the producer was like, why aren't you doing this? But it was really my dad and the producer trying to get like Reed kind of like riled up. Like, why are you asking my sister? Like, why aren't you asking me? But at the time Reed was like, oh, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I was like, well, I don't look like Trish Stratus. I don't look like Stacy Keibler. I don't look like Tori Wilson. Like when I thought of Michelle McCool, like when I thought of the divas growing up, like I just saw these like absolutely beautiful women. Like I knew I could athletically do it, but like I didn't view myself as a diva or like eye candy or however the women were perceived. But something in me was like, well, I'm not doing anything here. I'm lost. Maybe if I say yes to this, I could help Reed get into WWE. So mind you, like I'm scared of my own shadow, a shell of myself, have no idea like what I'm about to do, very nervous. Had the phone call a week later with Triple H, my boss, and he was like, listen, our developmental system is changing over from FCW to NXT. I'm taking over, but like because I'm giving you this opportunity doesn't mean I'm going to give Reed an opportunity. And I was like, yeah, I know, like this is like, I don't know, like sure, whatever. Like, in the back of my mind. I literally reported to NXT 3 months later and was like, okay, Reed's going to meet me. This is going to be great. So I get there, I fall in love with it. And I'm like, oh man, I have felt like I never belonged anywhere my whole life. And then when I started wrestling, I was like, oh, like I really belong here. Then 8 months later, Reed died of a heroin overdose. And I never got to see him before, and he never got to see me wrestle. So my career is just dedicated to him, because I wouldn't have done it had I like not started because of him. Like that was all for him, like everything. From the producer asking me to, like, I didn't like, excuse my, like, give a shit about wrestling. Like, love, like my dad was Ric Flair, like, cool, take my friends, the wrestlers are hot, like whatever. So when Reed died, I just like put his death in a drawer and turned out to like be the most decorated woman of all time. I don't know. It's just very grateful and blessed. I never would in a million years would have pictured myself here.
Do you feel like having a brother that went through that and then, passed away from it, how has it driven you in your career?
I started wrestling, and then I reported in July, and then he kept asking me to come home to see him at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like, come home to see me, come home to see me, come home to see me. And I was like so wrapped up in this new life and having fun and wanting to get better, and just like ultimately I spent so many years trying to save Reed after college, or like trying to get him on the right path, when like in reality he saved mine, because he had this dream. And when I didn't go home to see him and then he ended up dying, I just think that like that guilt and that burden, and like because I didn't go home to see him, did it not like give him that boost that he needed? Like, did his addiction get worse? And like I have blamed myself all these years for that, and also like taking his dream. But at the same time, I think Reed's addiction really got worse and stemmed from the fact that like he felt that he had to live up to the expectation of being Ric Flair's son, and what that meant and what that looked like, and thinking that he had, to be the man. And he was also doing independent shows and being compared to my dad. And like, I'm compared every single day as a female, but like, I couldn't imagine being Ric Flair's son. Like, yes, I have my own struggles and what that looks like being a woman, and I've overcome them. And I won't want to say it's like harder or less hard, but like generational wrestlers, it's very hard to live up to the expectations of your parents. But like my dad is considered, if not the greatest, one of the greatest of all time. And Reed, like, I think his drug addiction, that's how he coped being his son. So I turned my career into like, I wish I could take the pain that Reed felt, whether it was being made fun of or not living up to the fans' expectations or whatever he struggled with. I just took that and like ran with it.
It is so true. It's one thing to be compared as a woman, and it's a whole other ballgame to be compared as a man. You hear that sometimes with, even professional football players that have sons that, want to be as great as their dads, but
basketball, football, everything.
And it's not saying they can't be, but the pressure can absolutely be debilitating, and that's just horrible.
And I think it was for him.
What was it about wrestling that clicked for you? Like, what do you think it was that you were like, I love this? Was it the performative aspect? Was it the physical sport?
It was a physical sport. No, because I was like, I had no charisma, no acting background, but what I was good at was sports. Like, I'd played so many different sports, team sports, individual sports. So when I got there, that was my edge amongst the females. That like, even though they had different backgrounds, or whether they were models or independent wrestlers, or it just helped. Like, it gave me that edge, especially that competitive edge.
Definitely. And I feel like the gymnast part of it is really interesting too, because it's like, as a gymnast, it's one of those sports where you have to work so hard for so many hours
The
a
discipline,
day, a week.
the discipline.
The discipline.
Yeah.
Like that translates into a sport like wrestling.
And I think, yeah, like when I become a mom one day, hopefully like my kids will definitely, even if they're not going to be like gymnasts, just be in some kind of tub link gymnastics class when they're young. Cause it really does teach you, you know, body awareness and that discipline.
Yeah. And it's pretty cool to be able to do a flip.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Or like
yes.
what were those? Handspring.
A handspring, a back handspring.
I'm like, I always.
They can do a handstand. Yeah.
Yeah. I always wished I did like dance classes.
You're not
or
going to be playing video
gymnastics.
games. You're going to be in tumbling class.
Yeah. Literally. Let's talk about the performative aspect though of WWE. Like, can you unpack it to me a little bit? And at what point did you go from like wrestling matches to like, okay, now you're actually on TV, quote unquote performing?
So that's the other thing. Just because someone's athletic doesn't mean they're going to be good. Like I was athletic, but I really had to figure out a character or like kind of figure out how to elicit some kind of emotional response. And that took a lot of years. But the thing about WWE is it's like 50% a professional D1 sport and then 50% like a Hollywood studio backlot. And imagine that always colliding. And everything from beginning to end is performative, but it's all storyline based 52 weeks a year. So whether you're fighting for a title or a non-title or a backstage fight or in the ring or a promo, whatever that looks like, it is all storyline based. Now, obviously, some of the best stories over the years is when real life and storyline kind of blend in and you don't know what's real or not. And that does happen. But that's like the beauty of what we do. And that's been professional wrestling since day one. And that'll never change.
So it's kind of like reality TV in a way.
Yes.
Because it's like it's a fusion of real life meets what producers
and
are
the
looking
best
for.
Characters have the authenticity of something from themselves that they put in their character.
Couple questions here. The first is like Charlotte Flair, when she started out, how did she differ than the Charlotte Flair now? And like,
they're not even comparable.
What did that evolution?
No, I look back.
Like, what was your first storyline that you were like, okay, this is Charlotte?
So when I won the Divas Championship from Nikki Bella, I wasn't ready. Like the title owned me. I didn't own the title. Like you don't want it to be about the title. You want it to be about you. It's about the person holding it. So I didn't think I got to that until I became the inaugural Raw Women's Champion at WrestleMania 32, AT&T Stadium, and I retired the Divas Championship. One of my opponents, but also peer, sent me a picture of the AT&T Stadium, and it was myself, her, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch, and we were front and center of AT&T Stadium. Triple H was on one side, Roman Reigns was on the other, Shane McMahon, Undertaker, but it was like, I was like, oh my God, this is like really silly fan art. Like, why are they putting us front and center of the stadium? Oh no, my face was front and center of the stadium. And that's when it like really hit. It was like,
you're like, that's me.
That's me. I'm front. So, but since then, like, and I think athletes go through this, my confidence has wavered up and down, but that was like okay, I'm getting this. But did I grow like other moments past then? For sure. Like 2019 faced Ronda in LA, had an incredible moment. WrestleMania 35, first ever main event, MetLife Stadium, actually. First ever women's main event for WrestleMania. Things have happened in my career, but like that was probably the first moment where I was like, oh yeah, I'm that girl. Like where I felt confident. But it's like it comes and goes.
When did you first start realizing like you had an audience of people that was supporting you?
My job was to be hated.
Really?
So I definitely had that. But I will say.
And do they tell you that?
The fans?
The producers?
Oh, well, yeah, because you're either a good guy or a bad guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've been a bad guy most of my career. But when I got injured, the amount of like support and following that from the fans that I've had all these years and like what they sent me and the pictures and just the reminders every day, like it is really a very special fandom that we have. Like, I really think we have the most passionate fan base out of any like sport or big movie promotion in the world. Like, first of all, our audience is global, and they really, I don't know, I've never seen a more passionate fan base. Like, it's one thing to like love the New York Knicks, but I feel like our fans are just like on a whole different level.
What's the wildest way you've seen a fan show up for you? Like, do you have a fun fan story?
Well, I get like little Peacock dolls all the time at the airports because the fans know I love peacocks. So I've had peacock stuffed animals. I've had paintings done of my brother and I, of him as an angel, and me in my wrestling gear. Like, yeah, this is the poems written.
Was it hard for you when you first started out being on TV?
Yes. Well, because when I first started, I was like, why does everyone care what I look like? Like, when I played sports, like, no one, like, that's not a thing. And I think I struggled most with that, with the transition from dealing with criticism of beauty and like aesthetics and clothes to like, wait, I'm just a good athlete. Like, why do you care what I look like? I struggled with that.
I mean, that's the hardest
And
thing.
I think I still struggle. I mean, not as much, but like.
Yeah. I mean, you're beautiful and everybody like that looks like you knows that. But the hardest thing about being a woman is people will find every single thing
like
to comment
They're
on.
like, oh my God, she looks like your dad. Well, it's my dad.
Yeah.
Like, what? Who am I supposed to look like? His partner?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so confused here.
Yeah.
No, but I really struggled with that because I wasn't like around. I just wasn't around that world growing up or modeling or acting or like anything like that. So when like, oh, she's not diva enough, or she's never going to make the main roster because she's not diva. Like, what
does that even mean?
What does that even like?
Yeah.
I really like, actually I struggled with that probably 90% of my career, but social media wasn't as big growing up as it is today. So it's just that transition.
What's the best piece of advice that your dad gave to you when you were getting into this world?
Oh, just know who you are when you like, so we call it gorilla or the curtain. The minute your music hits and you walk out, if you don't believe in yourself, the fans are going to eat you up. I'll never forget. Oh, and always dress for the job you want.
What does that look like in?
So I have these like ridiculous peacock feather robes,
Okay.
which I'll be working forever to afford them because I like a new one every show.
Yeah. Wait, how much does a peacock robe cost?
Usually around 15 grand.
Wow.
But I believe like the more you invest in yourself, the more you invest in your character, the fans invest in you. And like, it's just part of like the Charlotte Flair, like the elaborate robes and the feathers. It just makes that character larger than life. Like, and they didn't start, I think like my first robe was probably like $4 grand. But as like I've evolved and the characters evolved in my paycheck.
I'm looking at an outfit. Oh my God. Who's making these for you?
So
also?
that's the thing. I started using designers.
Guys, this is
and they don't
insane.
realize that like I have to pay for these. These aren't production. This is my money. But it's worth every penny.
Do you have like a whole closet full of just your robes?
I do.
Oh,
and I've only sold one in 10 years.
Like, do you always have them kind of in production?
Well, I try to have a new one every big pay-per-view. So we probably will start production this week for if I'm going to wrestle in Paris, or we have a couple of big shows coming up. If not, they're just on rotation for TVs, but they take about like 3 to 4 weeks. But it's the stoning that takes so long. And then like, if I want the feathers to be a certain color, they have to dye the feathers.
Where did the peacock love come from?
The peacock love came from, so my dad always had feathers, but they were boa or chicken feathers. But there is a Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine that has all of my dad's robes like this and all the colors. They call him the peacock of wrestling. So I was like, oh, I love peacock feathers. I love what peacocks stand for. So why don't I just use the peacock feathers as part of like I still use the chicken feathers, but as like the back. And then also there is an image of China where she has peacock feathers in the back, but mine isn't really a tribute to her, even though she has done it before. Mine is like the Pro Wrestling magazine called him the peacock. And I was like, oh, I should do the peacock feathers.
How do you separate Charlotte from Ashley, because I love Ashley.
Oh, it's easy. Charlotte's so put together, glam, makeup, outfits. If you saw me at home, you're like, girl, brush your hair. Like my stylist. So my stylist also does my makeup and hair. He does a lot of things. He's like all-encompassing. Trifecta. He's like,
That's lucky.
have you brushed your hair today? Like, dude, I'm off today. I'm not over the camera. I'm just like much more laid back.
It's kind of fun to have like a show name because it really does allow you to be on when you're on at work and then just turn off when you're at home.
So when I'm not at TV, at TV, I'm like, oh, I feel the sexiest in like a baggy designer t-shirt and like big baggy jeans. Yeah. But then at TV, it's like, you could see me in like a crystal corset and it just,
well, I
want to be the Beyonce of wrestling.
You are the Beyonce of, I mean, also it's nice to have the separation too. Cause I feel like with your industry, like there's probably a little bit of pressure to always feel like you have to like look a certain way and present yourself a certain way. Because
I've done this this is my 10th year. I'm just now, or the fans are just now getting to enjoy the separation between who I am and the character. And this summer I've partnered with someone who I came up in the business with. Her name is Alexa Bliss. And she has been able to humanize my character in a way that I never thought was possible. So I went from being like the number one hated female in the wrestling industry just like 4 months ago to like, oh, she's not so bad. Due to like just kind of, I felt like Charlotte always had to be perfect because of the pressure of being Ric's kid, being the 14-time women's champion, always in the title picture, to like, it was exhausting.
What makes somebody the most hated?
Just being that good. You don't feel sorry for the Yankees. Like when Alabama loses, they still go back and they're still Alabama. That's like, but that pressure just eats at you. And like being a woman in a male dominated industry and always at the top.
Where are you currently at in life? Like, what are you currently working on, excited about?
I'm in my soft girl era.
Okay. I love that.
I don't even know what that means, but that's what my fans keep saying, like, oh, you're in your soft girl era. No, I had a really hard 2024. I went through a divorce, my knee injury, and then came back to work, and my return wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But like things have kind of shifted, and I've been traveling between my shows, living more. I'm working on a project with a restaurant owner and creating like my own spice. So I'm excited for that. And in wrestling, I just won the tag titles with, I say Lexi, with Alexa Bliss, but with Lexi. And she's had me to LA a lot. I'm just like, I don't know what's next. But I guess like even for life and wrestling, I didn't expect to be where I am right now. Like I didn't have on my bingo card tagging with Lexi and winning the tag championships because it's such a departure from what I have stood for and what I've done on WWE television. And then obviously like I wasn't planning for 2024 to go the way it did. And I don't know, it's like, oh, the best things are unexpected. So just seeing where life goes.
Really quickly, we have to call this out because we talked about it a little bit on the run. I tore my ACL twice. You just tore your ACL about a year ago. How did you tear your ACL?
Wrestling in a match.
Yeah. In a match. Wow.
In Washington, D.C.
On live TV?
On live TV.
Ugh.
And I still finished the match because I was like, I didn't know how to stop or give up.
Did you know in the moment that you tore it?
Well, I was like, why can I not walk? So I just kept going. And then like, I know I made things a lot worse because I didn't stop. So like I landed on my neck at one point and had to get a neck x-ray. And then landed on my face. Like it was a train wreck to watch. Like if you go back and see how many times I just kept, but I finished.
Ugh.
Still lost, but it all happened for a reason. Like I needed to reset, restart, make like other choices in my life. And sometimes what you're holding on to isn't good for you. And like, I think my knee made me slow down, reset. And so like, as much as it sucks to have a knee injury, I'm like, oh, I'm grateful for it because it put me on a different trajectory for life.
I mean, it's one of the hardest injuries to go through and like rehabs to go through. It's so like humbling in the way that it atrophies the muscle and you have to, I hated the ice machine. I remember that was like my least favorite part of it, but it really does teach you so much and everything happens for a reason. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm still sweaty from our run.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
So good. Good luck in your match tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We have a rematch. I know this airs later, but Lexi and I are tag team champions. So we will be wrestling the team that lost their titles to us, which was Roxanne Perez and Raquel. So we'll be facing them again tonight.
And you just faced them on Saturday.
And we just faced them on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Quick.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
It's, 52 weeks a year. Go, go, go.
Thank you.
Thank you.